Hello and welcome to the Kentucky DAC TestNav training for spring 2021. I'm Scott Wilson from Pearson. I will be walking you through the training today and going through some different pieces of TestNav and showing you some of the functionality within TestNav. So for our online testing components, we do have Pearson Access Next, which is the site we use to manage student data and online test sessions. And then we also have TestNav, and TestNav is actually the student test delivery engine. There is a TestNav 8 online support page. This does include instructions for setup, troubleshooting steps, technical bulletin, and a recently updated section that has all of the updates. There's a lot of information out there. You can watch videos, you can see different features and demos. Just a lot of information available there. The system requirements for TestNav, the support site includes all of the information that you will need to know as far as what requirements your system needs in order to do that. A lot of the technology folks that work for the schools and districts will take care of this for you, but the information is out there on the support site. One of the things that's real important for students to do is to take the student TestNav tutorials. These are designed to help the students become familiar with navigation, all of the TestNav tools, and the different item types. You can, the tutorials can be located at the URL here. They're also will be located through a link on the Kentucky portal. There is on all of the tutorials a try it feature, which allows students to actually perform the TestNav function. You can see the little try it icon there. When a student is going through the tutorial, after they read about something, they can click try it and actually perform that function. So after getting the TestNav tutorial, the TestNav screen will appear and the students can just select the start button. As you can see on the screenshots, there are two different tutorials, one for grades 3 through 5 and one for grades 6 through 12. So the welcome screen in the tutorial lists the three parts, on moving through the test, using the tools, and working with the test questions. The tutorial will show you the parts of the screen. It has the screenshot here with the pictures that identify the different parts, how to move back and forth, review the accessibility tools. All of that information is shown here. The review button, this button lets students go back and review their answers at any time. So if a student is toward the end of the test and they want to go back and review a question, they can click on this and go back and review that question. It also shows the number of questions that the student has not answered yet. And it also shows the bookmarks. So if a student bookmarks a question, it will show up here as well. So what the bookmark is, if a student wants to review a question or leaves one blank and wants to be sure and go back, they can bookmark it. And when it is selected, a blue bookmark ribbon appears next to the questions on the review list. So here you can see question 5 and question 7 were bookmarked. Some of the tests have multiple parts. So you will have a part A and a part B. So when a student reaches the end of a part of the test, they will see the end of part screen. The buttons here will show, the orange will show questions that are not answered, and then the bookmark ribbon will show the students the questions that they bookmarked. They need to, if the student wants to review those questions or answer them, they need to do that before they go to the next section. So once they're done with the section, the students can submit the section. There's a button that says submit. It will pop up as soon as they click that. It'll warn them that once they leave that section, you are not allowed to return to that section. And so it will verify that, yes, they do want to leave the section. If a student needs to exit a test, it can be resumed later. So to exit a test, the student will select the button next to their name in the upper right corner and then click sign out of TestNav. Students can return later with the save and return button. Or if a student gets kicked out, you lose power, something like that, students can be resumed and pick up right where they left off. Submitting the test. So when students are done, they reach the end of the test. It might be part A, it might be part B, depending upon the test. They will select submit final answer button. And then again, you get a confirmation that says, do you want to submit your final answers? Because you are not able to return once that's submitted. There are various tools that are available in the test. The students can select the tool button once the toolbar is open. To choose a tool, the students will select the button again or select the pointer tool. They can only use one tool at a time. And some tools will be on questions where they're allowed to use them. So some of them may not. Some items won't use a calculator, for example, or they don't need a ruler or protractor or things like that. The pointer tool, this is kind of the pointer similar to anybody when you have your mouse, you have the little arrow, the pointer tool. You use that to select an answer, to drag an answer choice to the correct spot, to mark objects, and to turn other tools on and off. The Notepad tool, students can write notes during the test using the Notepad tool. They can move the Notepad screen, and they can select the top of the Dropdown and drag, or top of the Notepad and drag it around. If you select the Notepad button again, it will close the Notepad. If a student returns to the question later, they can see their notes again by selecting the Notepad button. New for this year is the TextHelp text-to-speech tool. So the TextHelp text-to-speech read and write for TestNav extension is to provide a suite of access tools which can be used by students with disabilities who require testing accommodation. This information pertains to the text-to-speech reading accommodation function being used in the Kentucky assessments. Once installed, the extension creates a toolbar like the image you see here. The table here shows each of the tools, of the features on the toolbar for text-to-speech. You'll have the click speech and hover speech tool, the play tool or button, the pause tool or button, and then there's descriptions and notes for each one of those tools here. Also on the toolbar for text-to-speech, you will have a stop button and you'll have a settings button. The settings can be used to change speed, colors of the highlighting, different things like that. Calculators. There are various calculators that are available depending upon the test and the grade. So a calculator, you can either have a 4-function calculator, a scientific calculator, or a graphing calculator. To open the calculator, there is a calculator button the student will click on. To move the calculator on the screen, the students will select the calculator and drag it around. Students can select the buttons or use the keyboard to use the calculator. And then if they want to hide the calculator, they just click on the calculator button again and it goes away. Here are examples of the 3 calculators. The 4-function, scientific, and graphing. One thing to note, students will not see all calculators together on an item. Usually the item will have one specific calculator assigned to it. The dictionary, to open the dictionary, students will select the dictionary button, and then students can use it to search for a word. The answer eliminator. This is available for multiple choice and multiple select questions. Students can use it to cross out any answers that they think are incorrect. It will put the long red X across the items that as selected. The highlighter tool. To highlight words, students can use the highlighter tool. What they will need to do is click and drag their mouse over the words they want to highlight. When they do that, a box will appear above what they highlighted with their mouse, and they can pick a color. Then selecting those words again will unhighlight and remove any of the highlighting. There is a drop-down menu in the upper right corner. There are some tools that can be selected from that menu. These include tools to change the background and foreground color, enable the magnifier, and turn on the line reader mask. For the color contrast tool, it lets students choose the color of the words in the screen. So if students see better with a yellow background or cream background, they can switch that to whatever works best for them. The magnifier tool lets students enlarge part of the screen. As you see on this screenshot, in the lower left-hand corner is the highlighter tool, the magnifier, I'm sorry, and you drag that around and the magnifier will enlarge whatever part of the screen that it's on. They can select disable magnifier back up in the menu. A zoom function. There is also a zoom function that will enlarge the entire screen. To zoom in on a PC or Chromebook, students just do Control+ to zoom in, Control- to move out. On a Mac, it's Command+ to move in and Command- to move out, or they can do Command 0 to return to the default size. For a touch screen, such as an iPad, they can pinch and zoom in or zoom out. The line reader mask tool. This can be used to block part of the text, which can help students focus on one part of the question or when reading a passage. Students will select this Show Line Reader Mask from the User drop-down menu and then drag the line reader mask over the question or the passage. To close it, they go back to the menu in the upper right and select Hide the Line Reader Mask. The answer masking tool. This tool lets students choose which answers will show on the screen. So after selecting the Enable Masking from the User dropdown, all the answers will be masked, as you see here in the upper right. To show an answer, students will select the eye icon next to the answer. So you see here on the bottom, they clicked on the icon next to answer A and it shows. The different types of test questions. The tutorial will show all of the types of questions that may be on a test. These will include scrolling. The student may need to scroll to the bottom of a page or for a passage. There will be multiple choice items, multiple select items, equation editor, constructed response, and technology enhanced items. I will show a sample of some of these items as we go forward here. Multiple choice. Everyone's pretty familiar with multiple choice. A, B, C, D, pick the one you think is correct. Equation editor, these are for math items. It provides a place for students to show their work. They will type their work in box A using the keyboard, the math symbols in box B, and then their work, it shows the answer entered in answer box C. For constructive response items, students will type their answers into the response box. They will click inside the response box to begin. Then they'll start typing. They press enter twice, will start a new paragraph. They do not need to use the tab key. The toolbar can be used to make words bold, italic, or underline, or bullets or numbers can also be added. Sometimes the answer is longer than the space, and it will continue. The students may need to scroll to if they type more than what the box holds. Students do not need to use all of the space for their answer. Technology enhanced items, or TEI items as we call them. There's a variety of different ways to answer the questions. The list could include all of the following here: drag and drop, number line, line graph, hot text, table grid. There's a whole bunch of them listed there. Here is a sample of a drag and drop. Again, in the tutorial, students will see this. They can use the try it button and actually drag and drop the numbers as appropriate. The summary page, this just shows students that they've reached the end of the tutorial. Just tells them to submit their final answers to finish the tutorial. Here's a list of resources. All of this helpful information. When you have questions, you can go here. There's a lot of different materials here, a lot of information on all of the links that are provided. We do have some contact information here, KDE and the Pearson Help Desk. And then questions. I'm sure many of you may have questions. KDE will be setting up meetings for all of the different presentations that you've received. There will be meeting times set up. You can join those meetings and bring all of your questions. Pearson will be on with KDE for those meetings to answer any questions that you may have regarding any of the presentations.